Thanks.
Any other discussion from the board? Monica, do we have public discussion?
No public discussion on this.
There are no further comments. All those in favor of this contract signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. 4-0 passed. Thank you. Next, we have item 11. I'm sorry, we have item 11, the solicitor's report.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Weiss. Briefly, the executive session tonight started at 7 p.m. Board members who are present at this meeting were also present at the executive session, as well as Mr. Ferguson, myself, Chief Coluzzi. Items related to litigation and informational items were discussed. The executive session concluded around 7:15, and that's my executive session report. As far as the specific item under the solicitor's report, today was the injunction hearing involving the sewer sale issue in front of Judge Mellon. Briefly, Judge Mellon lifted the stay that prohibited any further discussion of sewer sales, so we are now free to pursue that. He specifically did not find any Sunshine Act violation at this point. However, in order to properly deal with the record, it's my recommendation that we establish next Wednesday, especially since the sale bids are expiring on Friday the 14th. We set next Wednesday the 12th as a special meeting date dedicated only to sewer issues. And my specific recommendation for the motion tonight would be motion to set August 12th, 2020 as a special meeting to consider sewer system conveyance issues. And that would be the recommendation if the board is so inclined to follow that recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second made by Mr. McCartney. Motion was made by Ms. Blundy. Any discussion by the board?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. One, what's the status of our meetings with the elected officials that we had agreed upon previously? Those haven't been scheduled.
As I received 1 or 2 notices back, as I think the board is aware, and had forwarded them to all of you.
Did they provide specific dates? Did we follow up with them?
I did not follow up with them, no.
Okay. So we're not going to have a lot of time to meet with them between now and this meeting. When do we want to meet with them?
I guess there's no interest on a meeting.
But the board voted to establish and have meetings. You would
Well, I
have to
think
have a
we-
motion to rescind that.
No, I don't think that's what we voted on. I think we voted to reach out to them, and we did reach out to them.
The motion was specifically to meet with them.
It's not my memory.
Well, we'd like to call back the minutes.
Which day was that on?
I don't have the minutes in front of me. I can't comment.
Supervisor Weiss.
I think go ahead.
I found the minutes as far as the date of them would have been, I believe, the meeting of June 11th. June 10th.
Yeah. So I think I found them.
June 10th.
Page 16 or 17 of the minutes on June 10th.
What I see says Mr. Lewis moved and Ms. Blundy second to send a letter inviting the congressmen, senators, etc., to work with us and set up a meeting. I think we've set a letter. I don't think we've gotten any meaningful responses.
I haven't received any of the responses, so I wouldn't know if they're meaningful or not. Could you send them to me?
Sorry, hold on. I did forward the responses that we received from Senator Sanacero's office.
And what did he say?
Off the top of my head, I can't answer. He basically said if there was going to be something, their office would participate. Representative Warren basically said it was something, I don't want to say ambiguous, but it was sort of the same thing of, you know, I'm willing to meet if there's going to be a meeting. Senator Toomey gave a response that I had forwarded that basically said he wasn't really aware of federal funding, but keep him in the loop. And Representative Fitzpatrick said something similar in tone that Representative Warren said basically is if you're going to have a meeting, I can send a representative essentially.
So all three of those gentlemen agreed to a meeting, and we didn't set up a meeting, and the motion was to reach out to them and set up a meeting.
The motion was to send a letter.
And
I mean, John, I am the second on it. You are the author of the motion. I guess we have a disagreement as to what the intent was. But, I mean,
so you believe the board intent was, oh, we'll just send a letter and not follow up?
no, I don't think that at all. I think that the intent was that if anybody said, hey, we're aware of a program, there is some money here or something, we would be very excited to meet with them. But that's not, you know.
Three of them said they would sit down and meet with us. One of them has a defined track record of delivering money for Lower Makefield.
The letters that you don't remember getting, you're now able to say what their intent was. If you want to,
No, I'm just reading back.
If you want to pick a date, John, and arrange a meeting, I'll do my best to be there. So,
Well, I think the
But
question.
I don't
at this
understand
point-
why there's a deep concern here. We reached out to our elected officials. Three of them came back and said they would like to meet with us.
that's not what they said. There's I mean, you know, that's not how I interpreted the letters. But if you would like to set up a date, and if you can get them to attend, I will do my best to be there.
Well, don't you think that we should actually do what we said we were going to do?
I think that we did.
have, excuse me, supervisors,
Sorry.
that's okay. I think that we have two issues. One is to continue with the scheduling of a special meeting, as Mr. Truelove has stated. The other is to have a meeting with our federal and state officials to talk about funding of our sewer projects. And I think they're mutually exclusive.
I actually would disagree with that profoundly, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I understand that. And I will entertain a motion then to make them mutually exclusive. So if there's somebody who wants to make that motion, we will make that and we will clarify the issue.
Mr. Chairman, can I just ask a quick question?
Let's make the motion first and then we'll make it.
Well, wait a second. He's asking a clarifying question.
Motion that of the one I suggest. If not, go ahead and make this motion. I want to make sure there's nothing on the table.
I'm sorry, Mr. Truelove, say again?
Just want to make sure there's nothing on the table, a motion now. Was there a motion made about what I suggested? If there is,
Yeah, then let's move
I'll
to
have to
table
withdraw
that.
and consider this other motion you're
Yeah.
talking about, and then bring the other
Okay.
motion back.
Yeah, okay, let's move to table the current motion so that we can consider Mr. McCartney's
All right,
motion.
there's a motion to table till later in the, motion to table is for later in the meeting. So there's no discussion on other than,
On the motion.
Get a second. Do we have a second to table the motion?
I guess you won't get heard, James.
I don't think that's what,
Okay, there's the motion. The motion is on the table and has been seconded has there been a second to the motion, Mr. Truelove? Did you?
I believe I seconded it,
I
yes.
believe Mr. McCartney did.
So we have a motion.
Yeah.
And we have, and it's been seconded. So the motion is on the table right now. We can probably, we can have the discussion on this. So James, why don't you ask your question on that you want to do, since we do have a motion that's open.
I appreciate it. Thanks. So I guess my question is, John, I understand that you want this meeting to happen. My question is, in the 4 or 5 weeks that the letters have been received, have you made any attempts to make this meeting happen? Who exactly is supposed to spearhead that meeting? Who's supposed to?
The board collectively decided to do that. The township manager reached out to them and didn't follow up with the board to get the board's approval to set up a meeting time. So that's where the issue is. It's not my fault. I don't have to schedule the meeting. I'm just one of 5 board members. The board collectively agreed to do that.
Well, I think that
The board is now saying they don't want to do that.
Well, I think the clarification is, I think we agreed to send a letter.
No. We agreed to send a letter and send up a meeting.
no.
You read the thing. Pardon. Read it.
You know what, John? You read it. Honestly, John.
All right,
John,
that's-
you
that's-
love to like categorize and you love to talk over people. Enough.
Well, and again, that's just for clarity. I want to make sure that if it's something that the township was in charge of doing, that's fine. But if that's
Well, actually, Mr. Ferguson gave us all the information we needed. We had a desire to actually do a meeting, that would have been the board's decision to go forward. Obviously, there has been no action. Mr. Lewis does bring the point up, but there is a difference of opinion on what that letter and the intent of the meeting was supposed to be. I definitely, in my recollection of events, it was, I remember making the statement, and it could be in the record, that anybody who can give us money to help us with projects, I would love to meet with at the time. And not one letter said that they have money for us. So there was no interest in my part to following through because I, for one, am content with the information I have now going forward. I only speak for myself, and I have no problem with the motion as it stands. If anybody wants to amend the motion to also consider a meeting with a state and federal officials to talk about financing, I'll entertain an amendment and see where that goes. But as far as the motion, we have a motion on the table that needs to be discussed right now, unless somebody wants to withdraw their motion.
And Chairman Weiss, real quick, I'm sorry, Kurt, just to clarify, the tone of the letters that you received back from all of the representatives was one of, it wasn't, if there was some, it did, I mean, I read the letters, none of them seemed like they expressed an abundance of interest or an abundance of money to put towards these projects. It seemed like they were, I mean, yeah, as a courtesy, we would love to have a meeting, but really about what?
I would view them as standard positive letters about wanting to meet with us. As I recall, Representative Fitzpatrick's letter came back first, followed a bit later by Senator Sanacero. And then, as I recall, I believe Representative Warren's letter came in sort of right near the end of June. It was the last one to come in right before our July 1st meeting. The only one that I would have viewed as sort of cryptically non-committal on anything really to any extent was Senator Toomey, that basically was more specific in his answer.
And John, have you had any conversations with Steve Sanacero regarding this topic since the letters came out, where he specifically said to you, yes, this is a great idea. We need to move forward with something. We have some additional funds, or there's going to be an abundance of state funds that are going to be able to help you guys out.
So, I've been not allowed to talk about the S word for a while, so I have not brought that up with the senator. I do recall, though, the email from Fitzpatrick's office was, "Hey, Kurt, I received the letter you sent to Congressman asking to develop a funding strategy for wastewater treatment in the region. The congressman would like to take the meeting. Are you planning on arranging a meeting with elected officials all at once or on an individual basis?" So he seemed, or at least on behalf of the congressman, very interested in that.
So the question was about Steve, and between the June 10th meeting and let's say July, when the order came in that said we couldn't talk about sales, did you have any conversations with Steve where he indicated there might be some state funding available?
Well, first off, the senator and I don't talk all that often, but we have not had any specific discussions around that specific topic.
Do you think
I would not, and I guess you should ask me about other elected officials as well. I have not spoken to.
I'm just trying to get an answer to the question that James asked. That's all.
Well, I've not spoken to Senator Casey on this issue, and nor have I spoken directly on this issue to. I have spoken tangentially around the issue with Representative Warren, who had expressed interest in the meeting.
And again, my question comes as you knew there was timelines around this, and you knew that the clock was ticking around it.
Actually, no, the question is that my responsibility to set up a meeting? If the board collectively said and directed the township manager to set up a meeting, the township manager sent out emails with follow-up responses, and then there was no follow-up from the chair or from the township manager.
Mr. Lewis, number one, we did not direct the township manager to set up a meeting. Number two,
Well, no, that's not
it's not. Number two, after hearing from all respondents, it is incumbent upon the board as a group to determine if a meeting will be set up, which was not done. And there seems to be, from that lack of follow-up, no real interest in setting up a meeting to at this time to help fund our projects, because we all know that there is no way that the state legislature is going to fund our sewer system for the next 15 to 20 years.
But
And now I'm speaking now as the chair, and we have a motion on the floor, and nobody has amended it. So I'm going to discuss this. The motion that is right now is unamended, and redirect that there has been no interest from this board as a body to set up a meeting with our state and federal elected officials. And we have a motion right now that will be discussed, unless it's amended, to set a date to discuss about sewer conveyance issues. As Mr. Trulov, that seems to be the motion on the table right now.
You're muted, Dave.
Yeah, that's good. That's the motion.
Okay, so unless there is an amendment, then we'll continue to discuss the motion at hand, which is to schedule a meeting for next week to discuss the sewers.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion in that prior to the meeting occurring, I would like answers to the questions that I provided on email on July 22nd, 2019 that were agreed to in writing by Scott Shearer of PFM on August 7th, 2019, and verbally on June 17th, 2020. That seems like a reasonable request, Mr. Chairman.
Blondie, do you agree to the amendment?
I don't.
On what basis?
I'm pretty sure that's the same motion you made the last time, and I'm pretty sure that we've talked about this, but the motion is what the motion is. If you want to make another motion on a tangential topic, please feel free to do so.
No, it's directly related to the issue.
Well, it does involve the word sewer.
Yes.
Yes.
And the
It
motion-
involves an assessment.
And the amendment does not pass. So we'll continue with
But-
discussion on setting the meeting a meeting. Like, you go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
Well, I guess I'm having a hard time why I can't get answers to 4 questions. But okay,
Well,
you know,
maybe you can get the answers to the 4 questions when we set the meeting. Right
But
now,
I was
we're scheduled-
agreed to in writing on August 7th, 2019, and verbally on June 17th, 2020 by PFM.
well, it wasn't agreed to by the board.
Well, no. The person agreed to in writing that to me on August 7th, 2019.
Well, and you can address that to Mr. Shearer when the time comes. Right now, we're trying to schedule a meeting to discuss
Oh, okay.
the conveyance. Is there any other discussion by the board? Monica, we'll open up the public comment at this time.
No callers.
No callers? Okay. Seeing there's no more comment, all those in favor of scheduling a meeting for August the 12th to discuss the sewer conveyance issues, signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
I'm a
no?
strong no.
3-1.
I want to clarify, what time are we having that? 7:30 or 7?
Let's make it 7 o'clock, sir. Is that, if it's okay with the board?
7.
7 o'clock it is. Meeting will be scheduled for 7 o'clock, August 12th.
And what will all the items be on the agenda?
There will be, arguably, there'll be sewer conveyance issues. So conceptually, concession lease, and then obviously the bids that are outstanding, if we get to that point, will be considered as well at that
Will
point.
all bidders be there?
I assume they would be the ones that were made the final round. That's, I think, part of the process, as I understand it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, that is done. Item 12, zoning hearing board issues, Mr. Trullo?
Yes, there are 2 matters before the board appeals, zoning hearing board appeals, not unlike many that you see frequently. First, Jennifer Pan is requesting a variance for property at 908 Morgan Drive in order to permit construction of an in-ground pool resulting in greater than a permitted impervious surface. I believe this property is in Yardley Hunt. It's my recollection also that it is not in a flood zone. Therefore, and I don't believe there are any other unusual characteristics about the application, we recommend that the board defer to the zoning hearing board in this matter.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second to defer to the zoning hearing board. Any discussion? Any public comment?
No public comment on this.
Not hearing further comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you.
And then the other matter is also impervious surface ratio matter. Bill Munns of Munns Construction is requesting a variance for property of Mr. and Mrs. I think it's Connie, Kahney, which is located at 2313 Yardley Road in order to permit construction of an addition resulting in greater than a permitted impervious surface. Again, I believe this also is not in a flood zone. I don't recall any other unusual characteristics involved with this application. It's fairly common for one that is before the zoning hearing board. Therefore, we recommend deferring to the zoning hearing board unless there's sentiment otherwise.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any comment from the board? Any public comment, Monica?
No public comment.
Hearing no comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Trullo. I understand that BOMA is back with us.
Okay, we'll patch them in.
Okay.
They're in.
Chairman, so I see Jim there. So I will just put this in a little context here first, if we could. So as you all know, there's been discussions regarding, there was last year, regarding the deer hunt that goes on this past year, as you were all aware. We had some people coming in, understandably, that obviously the herds are getting larger and larger, I think everywhere, it seems, in Bucks County. Last year, we did add snipes on Saturdays, recognizing the school close by as a new site to set up. I know there's been discussions this past year, as we said, and I'd sent to all of you regarding property down by the canal that we approached the county Department of Parks and Recreation about hunting. They had indicated that those properties, they don't allow that to happen. We looked at some other township properties that we have as open space. And I apologize off the top of my head, I can't remember the one or two that came out last year that had restrictions on them preventing hunting at the time we acquired them. We did reach out and had some conversations with Farmland Preservation about a couple of different properties where we reached out where the answer to that was no. Understanding that there are people with concerns in various spots, there are restrictions. Pennsylvania Game Commission restrictions regarding proximity to properties, structures, what have you, that, apart from, at least in my opinion, and I know Suzanne had sent this message out when I talked about the county property, reappealing to, let's say, the county commissioners regarding the property near the canal, a broader discussion about township property, our fields and what have you, as far as opening something up, at least in the short term, would seem to be the only viable possibilities in terms of meeting state game laws. So, I'll turn that over to you. And again, that Snipes property as well, if we wanted to go beyond Saturdays, would seem to be the most immediately obvious possibility. Can't hunt Sundays, that I'd be aware of.
Hi, Kurt. Jim, do you want to give a presentation?
Before Jim talks, I do want to raise one more issue. As you all are aware, there was a discussion about 5 Mile Woods, and this is the board's decision. And the concern at the time expressed by the Park and Rec director was, with COVID this year, when we had the parks closed for a considerable period of time, and that includes 5 Mile Woods, that those have more recently been open. That has been an area that we have hunted in the last number of years. I think last year, according to Mr. Boma, we had taken, 6 deer out of that area, but we closed that area while we're hunting for that period of time. And I think Monica's concern was, with how long the park was already closed, would we want to reclose it and let them hunt, or would we rather keep that open because we know that there were people with the limitations that they have interested in being out in that park? So that's the other item for discussion with the board.
Well,
Jim,
I would like to try to work with the county to see if we can farm, have the bow hunters go to that portion of the enclosed land. Certainly, we do get a lot of comments from neighbors who live over there, who have expressed that the deer population is, out of control. And if there is a way that we can gain access, I'd like to try to do that.
I'm on board with that.
So I guess it's just for the board to say, what means do you want to reach out to the commissioners? How do you want that to happen? Do we want that to be?
Can we send a formal letter?
Yeah, we could. And then in the end, the question's got to be, the time frame for that. Like, if you want to have a specific time frame to say, can we get some answer or something by a certain date? Because we know BOMA has to pre-qualify people, go through things, get people out there, schedule them. So I don't know. I defer to Jim here regarding, if we sent that letter out, what sort of a date we would need a specific answer. So if we were granted access, that he would have the ability to get someone in there. Jim, are you able to give a date for something like that?
Yeah. Well, if we could get an answer on it, I could set the schedule up at any point. The quicker we get it, obviously, the better chances of scheduling it are. The other thing I like to do is we carry, insurance on all of our hunters. So I would have to submit it to our insurance, the piece of ground, so that we were covered on liability for that piece of ground as well. But as soon as we got the word, we're already on, it's not Fatal. What is the name of that property? I can't remember the name of that property right off the top of my head, but that property right there, we already covered, which connects to the township or to the county property. So we're already butted up to it. If we could add that and add it to our insurance, it would make great sense. Do you want me to proceed with my presentation, or how would you like me to carry on? Okay.
Okay.
Last season, in both townships, we harvested 148 deer. 74 of them were removed from Lower Makefield alone. So we had a pretty good season. We donated in the 2019-2020 season 1,776 pounds of meat, which created about 7,104 meals. We couldn't do that without the townships, allowing us to do this program. And it's something BOMA is very proud of, and it's something that the townships should be proud of, because we're feeding local-based food shelters. It's a big deal. So that's something that brings our program a lot of pride. Over the 11 years we've been in your program in the township, we've taken 625 deer. When you equate that, the fact that we mainly doe hunt, and you do the multiples, that runs into thousands of deers because of the generations of deers and the does being produced. BOMA, obviously, our plan this year is to continue to operate at no cost to the township. We are self-insured. In the last 11 years, we have 0 incidences. We basically covered everything on our own, and we're very particular about how we bring somebody into the program. We have an application process where the hunter has to shoot and qualify. He has to climb a tree and qualify to be safe climbing the tree, using all the proper safety gear. And then there's a application that we go where they get points. After all the points are taken, they are brought into the program if they're deemed a quality hunter, an ethical hunter. They also get points if they're a member of the township. They get extra bonus points if they're a member of Lower Makefield Township. So that's something that we do as well. And again, one of the other big things is we haven't had any negative interactions with any people as well, which is a big thing. We also, May 7th, we submitted our proposal, which has been the proposal we've sent to the township for the last 11 years. The only revision to it this year is the Pennsylvania Game Commission has added one Sunday of hunting in the bow season. That would be November 15th. And of course, if we were allowed to hunt it, we would honor all the game rules on that day as well. Right now, we have all the same properties. I know that we're talking 5 Mile Woods. With the 5 Mile Woods, if that is shut down, the only thing I would like to ask is, consideration maybe after the Christmas holiday. There's not many people that use the park. If we could, if it's not the case, it's not the case. But I figured it never hurts to ask.
Jim, could you repeat that?
We would like to hunt the 5 Mile Woods after the holiday, after Christmas. So from Christmas till the 27th of July or January, it's wide open in there. We hardly see any other people in there besides ourselves in that season. But again, I'm just asking that question because it never hurts to ask. That is 10% of our deer when we go in there. That's a big part of our harvest. That's why it's important to our BOMA program.
So, Jim, when you say starting after Christmas, when would you normally go in there? What's the normal start date and end date?
It would be the 26th, the day after Christmas Day. It opens up, and then that would go all the way through, I think it's January 27th. So,
but my question for you is, besides Christmas, if you had the full season, when would that start and stop?
September 19th, I think, is the season start, and it ends January 27th of 21.
So this would be essentially going from 4 months to about a month, about 2 months.
Correct. And that's just in an effort to, be fair to the people who want to use the park and also achieve the goal of removing some. So the last thing I would just, like I said, that's really what I had, unless you have any questions for me. I was just going to ask if you guys would approve us to hunt the township so that we can get our insurances in and paid for. And then we have to do qualifications, and, we're going to have to meet up with your police department to get all of our registration cards and get up to snuff so that everybody knows that we're legitimate in the township. So the sooner we can get that, the better we are.
Okay. Mr. Lewis? You have to unmute yourself, John.
Jim, first I want to thank you guys for the great work you guys do. I've been a longtime supporter of the program, as you know. Last week, the red tags were available on farmland preservation property. Are you able to start hunting those now?
Yes, we actually have started.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
Dennis gave us the tags and whatnot, and I noticed there was a provision that wasn't covered, which means that properties have to be tagged. I ended up securing them with the Game Commission, and he has them for all properties. We've been out. I did a report tonight. I think we have 12 hours in the last 2 weeks. And we've had, the only deer that we've had under us are bucks, and you're not allowed to shoot them at the current time. So we have seen a few doe, but they have not been in range. So we have hunters in the woods, and the goal is to do the best job we can.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I move that we renew the Big Oak Whitetail Management Association agreement for the period of 2020 to 2021.
Second.
We have a motion made and a second by Mr. McCartney. Any other further discussion from the board? Any public comment, Monica?
No public comment.
No public comment. Okay. Hearing no further comment, all those in favor of extending the contract another year for BOMA, signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you.
And Jim, before you go, if somebody wants to join BOMA, how do they do that?
If they go onto our website, we have bigoakwhitetail.com. They go on there. There's an application that they fill out. They have to have a hunter trapper card. They have to have taken bow hunter ed. They have to do a criminal background check. And then when they turn them in, we actually bring them in, and there's a complete process. Like I said, we make them shoot. If they can shoot, we allow them to climb a tree. If they can climb a tree, then we bring them in, and we do an actual, it's 2-page document that we have that we run them through to make sure that we think they're going to be ethical. Because you can be a great shot, you can be a great tree climber, but you could be a really unethical person. And the reason we have had no incidences is because we're selective and making sure we bring the right people into the program.
Excellent. Thank you.
Jim, quick question. I'm looking at the application. It's asking for name of BOMA member sponsor. What would somebody put there?
A lot of people that actually join, they would call us up and find out. What we ask them to do is they come to a 3D shoot down at Falls Township or Langhorne Rod and Gun Club, and a lot of us are members there. We ask them to come in there and meet us, and then one of the members of BOMA would sponsor them. So they kind of take them under the wing and meld them so that they know what we're looking for.
All right, thanks.
Chair Weiss, can I add a comment? So with that approval and with what Jim had already said, what I'd like to put out there is if there's future possibilities that come about, as an example, county property, or even snipes, if there's issues, let's say that, when school is out or something that we could maybe pick up a month or so, like, who knows if they're going to be fully back or not, maybe over Christmas through January. I think I'd like to raise those possibilities as they come up to the board, even if we can squeeze out a few weeks here and there. If Jim has hunters to go in there to see if we can get a few more out of there this year, if that's okay with the board.
Unless I hear an objection, we can let that move forward. Great. Okay, Mr. Ferguson, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. We'll do the best we can for you. We appreciate working with the township.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Be successful.
Thank you. Be safe.
All right. With that, we can go to item 13, public comments, general public comment. Monica, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. Zach is on the line.
Okay. Hey, Zach, give your full name, address, and make your comment.
Zachary Rubin, 1661 Covington Road. This is directed to the chair, and it has to do with parliamentary procedure. On the agenda, number 11, the motion to set the special meeting considered a sewer sale, there was a motion on the floor. Mr. Lewis made rose to an amendment. Now, the amendment is a subsidiary motion which takes precedence over the main motion. So if he would have had a second, then it would have been discussed. You do not ask the maker of the motion to accept the amendment. There's no such thing as that. So therefore, the parliamentary procedure was not followed according to Robert's Rules of Order. When somebody makes an amendment to a main motion, the maker of the motion has absolutely no say in whether to accept it or not. If it's second, then it's up to a discussion, and that's what debate is all about. So I just like to bring that to the attention of the chair.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. Mr. Truelove, do we need to revisit that motion?
No, I think substantively, the result was the same.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Zach.
You're quite welcome. Oh, just one last thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when John was referring to the 4 questions that he wanted to answer, does that have to do anything with the Passover Seder?
I was thinking.
This night is not different from any other night. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other public comment, Monica?
Yes, Lisa is on the line.
Lisa? Okay. Hi, Lisa. Give your full name, address, make your comment. Any other public comment? Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead and give your full name, address, and make your comment.
Lisa Tenney, 156 Pinnacle Circle, Yardley, PA.
Lisa, are you there?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Lisa, if you have your television on, can you please turn it off or turn the volume down because we're hearing it in the background?
I got you. Yeah, so you know that half your population doesn't have electric or cable, right? And you're conducting a Board of Supervisor meeting. Your zoning board canceled yesterday your meeting, and now you are conducting a meeting, and only a fraction of the LMT Township can hear this. You know that, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Not sure
So
about
is this
half of the people.
so is
Yeah,
this
we don't know how many people.
Sunshine Law? Sunshine Law. I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm just a regular citizen. I moved in a couple years ago. Is this against the Sunshine Law?
Mr. Truelove.
It is not, as if we had a vigorous discussion about the Sunshine Act today earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, what I would say,
Tell us.
well, if you would let me talk, I'll be happy to. First of all, I don't believe half the township is out. I think that's it maybe as of yesterday. Number 2, at the beginning of this meeting, Mr. Ferguson and Dr. Weiss both indicated that the agenda would be truncated because there were certain items that were time sensitive. The lease for the golf carts, for example, and the escrow releases for Regency. Those were matters that really needed to be voted on. Certainly the issue with respect to the sewer sale, the board wanted to have a meeting scheduled before the 19th, or actually before the 14th, because that's when the bids expire. Those are the most time sensitive matters. Other than that, I mean, the BOMA presentation certainly was helpful, but I don't know that it was one that was as time sensitive, but almost everything else that's been on there was time sensitive. And the other items which were deferred or have been deferred, but were not. And that one of the reasons why is because they want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to review. So there were certain business that had to be conducted tonight. There's no Sunshine Act violation by that. I mean, that's, it's unfortunate. Obviously, I was affected. My wife and I certainly were affected by the storm, as were many others. My office was without power today until 11 a.m. So it's not as if all of us were not affected. But having said that, there have been participants tonight, similar to what we have in other meetings, and there is no Sunshine Act violation because of the power outage, to the extent that it's now limited to, I think, a lesser area of the township. So that would be my opinion.
Thank you, Lisa, for your comment.
Nope. Can I speak?
I'll give you one more minute.
Okay. So, yeah, so I had a neighbor across from Big Oak that came over today to recharge and to work from my Wi-Fi and electrical system. FYI. So when is the sewer system meeting and discussion set up for?
Next week.
What? Please state the date and time.
Next Wednesday, the
You'll
12th.
know.
Next Wednesday, the 12th at 7 p.m.
Okay. So I think I'm good with the bow hunting for deer. But let me tell you, a lot of deer are dead on the road, and it's horrifying for a bus to drive by Bambi. So there are humane ways to control deer population. Bow hunting is one way, and I would like you to entertain other ways
Very good.
as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I want you to try to think about you there sitting in your Brady Bunch windows. You represent us. So you should make sure that you're hearing all of us and representing us. I think, so try to do that in a democratic way. And I'll be signing off tonight.
Have a great night, Lisa. Take care.
Yeah, thank you very much for serving.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Any other public comment, Monica?
No more public.
No more public comment? Okay. We do have one discussion item that's very time sensitive. It's discussion item B. Consider written testimony to the New Jersey Clean Air Council regarding pollution from the Trenton Mercer Airport after input from our airport review panel. They meet on, I think, the 13th. The deadline for comments is the 14th. They're the lead on this, and I promised Ms. Herman that we would get together, and I see maybe Mr. Preston is also on with us to join the discussion, so that maybe we can authorize the airport review panel to author a letter after the 13th, so we can get it to the Clean Air Council by the 14th. So with that, Rich or Sue, who would like to start off?
How about if Rich starts off?
I'm sorry?
Okay.
Go ahead, Richard.
That's fine.
You go first.
Okay. We'd be happy to take that on, to put together a letter. And what I'll do is, if you'd like, I can submit it to the Board of Supervisors as a preliminary look, and then we can review it on the 13th and vote on it so we can submit it on the 14th.
If the board says yes, that's what we'll do. Sue, did you want to join in on the discussion?
Yes,
Sure.
I'd just like to say that, as you know, large-scale expansion at Trenton Mercer Airport has occurred by segmentation over the past 20-plus years without regard to the cumulative impact on the environment surrounding New Jersey and Pennsylvania communities and public health. Recently, residents are alarmed about the large number of projects that the airport has sought approvals for. There are at least 25 in-process individual projects that have either been approved, are in the process of seeking approval, or are planned in the near future as supposedly unrelated or independent improvements. All of these segmented, individually considered projects are outlined and proven to be related and interdependent in the master plan of 2018. The airport layout plan, part of the master plan, clearly identifies a proposed terminal expansion, the runway protection zone, and development of Parcel A of the Naval Air Warfare Center, where there are known PFOS, VOCs, mercury, and other contaminants. It's unconscionable that New Jersey politicians from the local up through the federal level ignored RRTS's September 2019 letter, which stated that residents are worried that the continued reckless, unchecked expansion of the airport will cause irreparable harm to our health, safety, and welfare. The harm will include, but not be limited to, potential PFAS contamination of our drinking water. We ask the board tonight to join us in imploring the New Jersey Clean Air Council to vigorously oppose the expansion plans of the Trenton Mercer Airport, including all individually considered projects. These expansion plans will substantially increase toxic air and water pollution in Bucks County, PA, and New Jersey, and Mercer County, New Jersey. We are looking for the New Jersey Clean Air Council and the New Jersey DEP to develop an actionable response to meaningfully address the serious air and water pollution caused by TTN's past expansion, and we're looking for them to vigorously oppose any future expansion. We thank the Board of Supervisors for helping us with this.
Great, Sue. That's excellent. Those are all really good points. Board of Supervisors, I'd like to just advise you a couple things going on. There's been a letter by some citizens on both sides of the river being sent to Senator Menendez to advise him about what's going on with respect to the airport and runway protection zone issues. And so, there is a letter going from citizens to him, and there's a movement for another letter that addresses financial and sort of quality of life, air pollution, water pollution issues to go to politicians on both sides of the rivers, again, signed by residents from both sides. So the enthusiasm and energy going into this concern is growing on both sides of the river, particularly in New Jersey. And we think it's probably appropriate, as we put in the recommendations for the last meeting, to try to reinstitute the discussions with our local politicians of what actions we can take, with them, of letters to write, entreating our federal politicians to join with Representative Fitzpatrick, who has been rebuffed by the FAA and, in fact, the whole congressional caucus for a mandate in the last FAA Authorization Act, telling them they need to develop new standards for noise protection of communities because the 24-hour average is not representative of what people are experiencing. And the FAA basically told them to take a hike. We're not going to follow your mandate. Our rules are what the rules are. And so we think it's appropriate to try to get our other federal officials to increase the pressure on the FAA to follow the congressional mandate that was put into their funding act. So there's a fair amount of movement and energy going in these different topics. And we would look forward to an opportunity, maybe after this letter goes out, to give a summary of these issues at a meeting with some slides that could be presented to the public, because we think it's important for the public to be aware of what's going on. They're pushing projects to the amount of $177 million. And those are all based on grants that they plan to repay based on aviation fees. And as you might imagine at the moment, that's probably not a real solid plan, because the aviation industry is just going through, a terrible time with the whole coronavirus. So how they're going to pay back $177 million in loans if air traffic continues to stay at the levels that it is now is just not explainable. And so who's going to be left with that bill? We're trying to raise these issues to our politicians to say, why is this funding going forward? And why are these projects being supported? So that's what's going on, just as a quick update. And we'd love the opportunity to present more information at a future meeting.
I'm sure we can. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Sue. So the immediate question for the board is, should we authorize the airport review panel to author this letter regarding to the Clean Air Council regarding water pollution from the Mercer Airport? And if there's, at this point,
I'll make that motion.
Make a motion. Okay. Is there a second?
May I just say that it's water and air pollution?
Okay, water and air. That's fine.
Second.
Mhm.
Second by Ms. Bundy. Any further discussion from the board? Any public comment, Monica?
No public comment.
Okay, hearing no further comment. All those in favor, signify by saying aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. There you go. Looking forward to seeing the letter
Okay.
early on the 14th so we can meet that deadline.
Can we issue a draft of it to you guys, particularly for Dan to review before the 13th?
Well, you're not meeting until the 13th, so I don't know how you can do a draft, but Mr. Trulove, can that be done?
Well, I suggest if it's done that way, that it's something that's circulated to the airport committee, and then if they decide on the final version after having it vetted by the board, they can ratify that at their meeting and recommend it to the board, and obviously let them know that they're sending that to the officials in New Jersey.
That would be perfect, because we'd like to benefit from the board's opinion on this, particularly Dan.
All right. It's fine with me.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Monica, did you say there was somebody who couldn't get on because of technical difficulties for public comment?
Yes, Patty.
Patty, okay. Hi, Patty. Give your full name, address, and make your comment.
Yes, my name is Patty Piak. I live at 2 Sandy Run Road.
Can you turn off your TV or your streaming device?
Mute it. Okay. Yeah, it's muted. I guess my comment is I've been watching this meeting this evening, and I'm missing a good quarter of what you guys are saying. The screen has gone black about 4 times. This setting, I understand the point of a virtual meeting. However, when you have a meeting next week to discuss the topic of the sewer sale, I think it's really important for people to be able to hear what's going on in this meeting. And I think it might be, we might be better served if you guys could meet socially distancing in person and we could watch you in person. Because I'm missing a good quarter of what you're saying in this format.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I would like you to take that into consideration, if you would, please. It's an important thing for the people who live here.
Barring a storm, I don't think we'll have this kind of technical issue, but I appreciate your your comments and your thoughts.
Thank you.
Any other public? Was there anybody else left out, Monica, that we should get in?
No, everyone is all done for the night.
Very good. Does any of the individual board members have time-sensitive issues from committees that must be dealt with this time? Very good. Is there any further business? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.